Thanks for tuning in and welcome back to the shop. This is our 2013 Mitsubishi Fuso FG that I'm slowly turning into an overland camper. It's currently wintertime in Canada and it's not really very warm in my shop, only a couple degrees above zero. So for most of the winter, I try to find things that I can work on inside the box. Now you might think it shouldn't really be that different inside the box, but if you watched last week's video, you'll remember that I put a small electric heater in here. And I'm also trying out this small wireless temperature sensor, and that lets me see what the temperature is. Now, I've also confirmed that it's accurate by using an old school thermometer, and the temperature in here right now, although it's not hot, is definitely warmer. It's about 15 degrees, and this little heater down here is what's keeping it warm. Now, I don't mind working in the cold, but the thing that I'm trying to do in here next is use an adhesive, and that adhesive needs to be at least 5 degrees. That's why I've put the heater in here. But I've also taken it a step further. This simple little heater is actually plugged into a smart outlet, and that smart outlet is controlled by the temperature sensor. Over the last couple of days, I've been confirming that this system is able to work, and it is. The temperature sensor is able to turn on and off the outlet to maintain a temperature inside the box of between 10 and 14 degrees. And that means I have the confidence that I can now maintain the correct temperature in here for the adhesive to cure to hold on the upper mounts for the bed lift cylinders. So that's what I'm going to work on today. Now before I just go and slap some glue on the wall and hope everything sticks, there's a couple more prep things that I need to do. I'm going to be using Sika 291 to bond these brackets to the wall. And I'm going to need to do a little bit of prep work for the Sika to stick to the fiberglass. I'm also going to need to do prep work to the aluminum brackets, which thankfully I've already done.
By sanding all the sides of the aluminum bracket on my belt sander, I'm accomplishing two things. One, providing a scuffed surface for the adhesive to bond to, and two, getting a nice uniform clean finish, removing all the oxidization and water staining on the surface.
And the last thing that I'll need to do is drill some very small, very precision located holes for 2 bolts to hold the retaining bracket into the mounting bracket. Actually, let's make that the first thing. The idea here is to drill a very tiny hole for an M3 bolt to go down between these 2 layers. It'll be a clearance hole in the bracket and a threaded hole in the retaining clip. That should hopefully keep everything nice and tight. As you can see, there is not a whole lot of room for error in drilling these holes. So I hopped onto SketchUp.
And in about 2 minutes, I drew up a simple little jig to precisely locate the holes exactly halfway into the tiny space. And then sent it over to my Elegoo Centauri Carbon 3D printer and hit print. No, this video is not sped up, it's real time. This printer is quick. So 5 minutes and 4 seconds later, I was ready to go with
this little jig. Hopefully, by dropping this jig onto the edge of the part, I can get the 2 holes in the same spot every time. Hey, it must be warm in here now. My heater just turned off. Now this next step of drilling that tiny little super precise hole by hand with a cordless drill is not going to be super easy. I'll do what I can to get a little clip of it, but I suspect most of my focus is going to have to be on making sure the hole isn't in the wrong spot.
Right, so keep the jig in place, keep the drill vertical and horizontal angles at 90 degrees, don't drill into my finger, and most importantly, keep it all in frame on the camera.
Now I gotta tap the 2 holes on the inner plate.
Don't break the tiny little tap, don't break the tiny little tap, don't break the tiny little tap, and keep it in frame on the camera.
And as if drilling holes that close to the edge wasn't nerve-wracking enough, now I've gotta upsize the hole in the bracket to clear the threads.
Just don't screw it up.
So it looks like I succeeded there. I've got 2 Allen key bolts threaded all the way through. Everything's nice and in the right place and tight and square. Now I just have to do that 3 more times to get the other brackets ready. Well, I didn't go through the side on any of those, so now we can move on to the next step. I have already sanded the edges of all of these on my belt sander, and I need to do some similar prep work on the walls. Now on the back 2 corners, I'm going to do both walls, but on the front corners, I'm only doing the outside wall. I'm not going to attach it to the kitchen cupboard, nor to this piece of T-slot. Don't worry, I've done some math and it should work. I'm kidding, of course. There's a lot of math involved. I haven't done any of it but I have relied on ChatGPT. I might sound a little bit risky to trust AI to figure out whether this is going to fall apart or not, but it's basically just math that's well beyond anything I'd ever enjoy doing. And I based the height of this to give me the surface area that's basically just a mathematical formula of how strong the adhesive strength of Sikaflex 291 is between aluminum and the fiberglass wall, with the addition of some 3M VHB tape, also mathematically calculated. And then a massive factor of safety on top of that. So the assembly that I'm about to do should be well beyond anything that I'm actually needing these to do. And on top of that, it's all based on the peel strength from one wall, so this one will be the weakest and the back two will be the strongest. Still, with a massive factor of safety on the weakest. And keep in mind that most of the force is straight down on this cylinder, so even if one of these brackets does pop off the wall, it's not really going to be going anywhere. To prep the composite panels for the 291 and the VHB tape, I have marked off the area where the bracket is going to sit. I'm going to very lightly scuff it with some 150 grit sandpaper. It doesn't need a lot, we're just basically taking the shine off. I'm also going to give it a quick wipe with a tack-free paper towel with some isopropyl alcohol on it, just to get any last little bits of that dust off of there. Don't touch that afterwards. And of course, now I've got to repeat the same thing to the other three corners. I think you get the idea. So all four corners have now been sanded and cleaned with 91% isopropyl alcohol. I've also, now that I've stopped sticking my fingers all over these to hold them in the corners, cleaned off the side that will have the adhesive tape as well as the Sikaflex on it, has also been cleaned with isopropyl alcohol. It's also worth noting that while I'm using the isopropyl alcohol and possibly while I'm using the Sikaflex, I have unplugged my electric heater. The temperature in here is maintaining and I don't want any possibility of an ignition source of the alcohol fumes. However unlikely it would be, it's an easy thing to eliminate and we're maintaining temperature. The next piece of this puzzle is attaching the VHB tape to the aluminum brackets. And there's two reasons that I'm gonna do this. VHB tape is not stronger than the Sikaflex. That sounds like a reason not to do it. So why am I using VHB? Again, two reasons. Number one, this is gonna allow me to push the bracket onto the wall and have it instantly stick. That will hold it in place while the Sikaflex dries. The other reason is by adding a thin piece of VHB tape, I can control the depth of the adhesive that's on the back of the bracket, as well as how much squishes out when I stick it onto the wall. The strength of the Sikaflex 291 is impacted by how thick it is. So the VHB tape controlling the thickness also controls the strength of the Sikaflex. Now, as I said, I haven't done any of the math on this, but ChatGPT has, so I know that roughly I'm looking at about a 12-pound loss in strength per bracket by putting this adhesive tape on there, but I think that's more than made up for by the fact that I know the strength of the Sikaflex. Now in the math, I did play with a couple different configurations, so I'm putting two vertical strips on here and I'm not putting the tape on the top and bottom. Because the Sikaflex is stronger than the VHB tape, the less tape I can use, the better. I'm going to do my best to stick this on here without touching this surface and without touching this surface. On these two brackets, which are the front, I need to do the outsides, and these two brackets, which are the back, I need to do the outside as well as the back.
I also have to firmly press the tape in place, which may be a bit of a challenge as I have to remember not to touch the clean surface.
I can, however, touch the inside and I can touch the surface that's not going to have glue on it. So this is the inboard side, so there's no glue here. So I can inside here and then push like that to get a good firm press onto the surface. This is where the Sikaflex is going to go.
And repeat.
Well, that was pressing hard enough. I've got screw head holes in my hand now. Now this is where things have the potential to get really sticky and messy and frustrating because I need to spread the Sikaflex in this area to the depth of the VHB tape without peeling the backing off the VHB tape, but then having the ability to peel the backing off the VHB tape without sticking my fingers into the Sikaflex. This is going to be interesting. If you have never used Sika before, fair warning, this is kind of like anti-seize. Not that it doesn't stick to anything, more that it sticks to everything. Be prepared. Gloves are a must. Plenty of paper towels to wipe stuff on, and a place to put things down if you need to. I'm gonna do these brackets one at a time. I'm gonna put the Sika on, peel the backing off the tape, stick it to the wall, and then move to the next one. I don't wanna get to a point where for some reason I've got a whole bunch of Sika ready to go, and I'm having problems peeling the backing off. Speaking of which, I've also taken the corner of my knife and pre-peeled the very corner of the VHB. Now I'll probably end up pushing this back down again, but at least I've given it a try and a start. The plan here is to put the Sika on this surface and then spread it out with a block so that it's at the same thickness as the tape. Clearly, this is gonna get messy. I'm gonna put some on, wipe it, I'm gonna have to wipe the block off, I'm probably gonna get it on my hand. It's gonna be a mess. And for that reason, I will not be doing it on the kitchen counter, I'll be doing it on the unfinished floor. All right, here we go. Round one, live and uncut. I've mounted the Sika in the gun. I've poked the foil. Let's see what comes out. Now, one thing I will say, if you're buying Sika it is key when you buy it, look in the back of the tube and check the expiry date. I will say where I am, there's a lot of expired Sika for sale. So make sure you're getting what you think you're getting. I have really no idea how much it's going to take to fill this properly, but let's go with something like that to start. Here comes the mess. My hope is that it doesn't really stick to this very much. All right. Well, that's kind of working. Okay, not bad. And I'll just take this and I'll go the other way. Might actually have been exactly the amount that I needed. All right, that is basically, go one more time from end to end with what's left on here, but that I think is exactly the amount I'm looking for. It's a little bit sticking up past the top, that's fine. Tiny little bubble there. Easy to see here. So let's go one more time. I think that is about as good as we're gonna get. Maybe stick a little tiny bit in that corner. All right. That should be the thickness of Sika that we're looking for. I can't remember which end I pre-peeled. I think it was this end. So. All right, that's started, good. And there's no Sika on the tape. Okay, so the next trick is to peel these off and not have them cover everything in Sika All right, a bit more on my finger. Whoa. I'm just placing this over by the Nature's Head because it's aluminum, and if I need to, I can scrub it off. All right, I'm gonna adjust the camera angle, and then we're gonna stick this to the wall the right way around, which is this way. More Sika on my finger. So this needs to go this way. I've written up here. My green tape is on the inside. So this is going out. As soon as I stick this, it's stuck where it is. There's no moving it. So I need to make sure I'm exactly lined up in that sanded square. Push it to the wall, and we're done. A little bit of Sika squished out the top, a little bit out the bottom. I can run my finger along that to kind of smooth it out. I am gonna peel this tape off, the green tape, so that I have a clean, smooth edge to the Sikaflex. That's a bracket installed. While I still have one glove on, I'm gonna go around and use my other hand to peel the tape off and stick it to my gloved hand, hopefully without getting too much on my ungloved hand. Well, so far, this seems to have been a success. Of course, the only way I'll know it was a failure is if the bed falls off the wall when it's up. So hopefully we never find out that it's a failure. I have to say, this little piece of, used to be a cutting board, which was a leftover from a leftover when I built my snow pusher, which if you haven't seen that video, check it out. That tool was absolutely 100% what it needed to be. The Sikaflex didn't really stick to it and it let me spread it out. And number one, the most important thing, other than they're stuck to the wall, I didn't get any Sikaflex on the counter, and unless I've got a big glob of it on my face that I don't know about, I don't think I actually have a significant amount on me. The temperature in here is still 11.5 degrees. You can see it's come down a little bit from where we were, but still well within what we need for the Sikaflex to cure. Also about 1.5 degrees before the heater would kick on again, so even if I left it plugged in, nothing would have happened. There's no fume that I can sense in here. I took the paper towel with the alcohol out of here as soon as I was done with it, so there isn't really any source of anything. The Sikaflex doesn't seem to be putting off any smell, and I've never really had that as an issue before. So I'm gonna kick the automation back on and plug that back in, so it should keep the temperature above the range for what the Sikaflex needs. Just kidding. Now, this automation stuff is super easy to use. If you're interested in it, I'll leave a link in the video description. It's not expensive, and to be able to control the inside space of something like this, even if you just wanted to stop it from freezing if you have water tanks inside, really easy to do. I was blown away with how easy it was to set up and how easy it was to automate. Check it out. But that said, that's about as far as I can go today. Until this adhesive has dried, I can't take the next step in installing the cylinders. So I hope you enjoyed that video. If you did, make sure you give us a thumbs up. Hit the hype button if you see this video in the first 7 days. Most importantly, don't forget to come back next time. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you then.